Former National Security Advisor to President Trump in his first term, Robert O'Brien, joins me now. Robert, it's great to see you. Thanks for being on the program. Tomorrow will be 8 weeks of this war. Evaluate what it has achieved and what has yet to be done.
Well, Major, thank you for having me. I think the major achievement of the war is the military destruction of Iran. I mean, the naval bombardment and the air bombardment, the campaigns were exquisite. I mean, all 10,000 targets on the air tasking order were eliminated. And that's a story that really hasn't been told. And, you know, the Iranians have gone back to their playbook of extending and pretending and trying to negotiate and buy time. But the real story is the military victory of the United States. Now we'll see how the negotiations play out. But, you know, up until now, the key factors are win militarily.
You were part of, no doubt, some general discussions about what to do with Iran in the first term. Based on what you remember from those discussions, would you say what's achieved militarily so far is ahead of schedule, on schedule, behind schedule?
Look, I think it's something that we never expected would happen the way it has. I mean, our capabilities in the last 5 years have just advanced at a pace no one could imagine or has seen. So I think the military objectives are great. The difference between what we looked at and this campaign is the president's approach, and that is to give the Iranians a chance to surrender, a chance to kind of rejoin the international community, the chance to behave as a normal country. And so he took off the air tasking order, the economic targets, Cargill and the oil production facilities, the oil storage facilities, the oil export facilities. That all remains intact. So the Iranians have a chance, if they play ball, to maintain that oil export business that makes $500 million a day. And that's the biggest difference between what we were looking at 4 years ago or 5 years ago and now.
And Robert, the president says he believes the regime has changed in Iran. Based on what you've seen, do you believe that's true?
Well, there's no question, Major, that the regime has changed. I mean, that's just a fact. The regime was wiped out on the first day of the war, thanks to Israel and the U.S. in a very exquisite operation. But the nature of the regime has yet to, we've yet to see a serious change in the nature of the regime. So they're hardliners. This, pitch that there are moderates and revolutionaries and hardliners. I don't buy it. All these diplomats and the Speaker of the Parliament were in the Guard in their early years. They're still assassinating and hanging and killing and executing women and young people in the streets. So the nature of the regime hasn't changed, but clearly the personnel have changed.
So that raises an important question, Robert. I'd like you to evaluate it. How confident could this administration be with any enforcement of any deal if the remainder of the Iranian regime is just as theocratic, just as devoted to the revolutionary instincts that started in 1979, and just as malevolently aligned against the United States and Israel? How do you deal with them, and how do you assume that you've struck a deal with them and they're going to enforce it?
Well, again, this goes back to Ronald Reagan. You can't trust a word that the Iranians tell you. And I've negotiated with them when I was a hostage envoy. They're disreputable. They're not trustworthy. They're every negative adjective you used. But we can trust but verify. And so if we're going to strike a deal, for example, to get the uranium back, we're going to have to put U.S. boots on the ground or allied boots on the ground to literally seize the HEU, seize the enriched uranium, and bring it home. Or if it's buried, we're going to have to put it under cement and concrete and have verifiable monitoring of that site. So you raise a very good point, Major, and that is whatever agreement we strike with the Iranians that the president gets. I personally think there will be a deal because the Iranians have no cards to play. Other than delay, it will have to be subject to very strict verification rules.
Former National Security Advisor to President Trump in the first term, Robert O'Brien. Always a pleasure, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Major.